Hello everyone, my name is Keiko Eguchi. I'm working at the Japan-American Society of State of Washington as an intern. Today, I'm gonna interview Mr. Sam Shepard. He has a lot of experience in field of education, and also he received the Order of Rising Sun Gold Race with Rosette in 2010. Congratulations, Mr. Shepard. I'm really happy for you. When you received the award, what did you feel about?
Oh, it's tremendously exciting. I felt very honored and I felt quite humbled. To be given an award for your life's work is always wonderful. And I think especially in my field of international education, it's not so common. So I felt like it was an award not only for me, but for my profession of international educational exchange.
So, what was the reason that you came to Japan?
Well, when I first came to Japan, it was because my father was stationed in Japan as an Air Force officer. He came in 1946. And then my mother and I came later the following year in 1947, way back in the old days. And then my father got out of the Air Force in Tokyo, and we moved from Tachikawa to Sangenjaya in Tokyo.
And what do you think about differences and similarity between Japan and America?
Well, that's a big topic, as you probably know. I think first starting with the similarities between our two countries, or two cultures. I think first of all, we are similar as human beings. Just as we all around the world share things like happiness and sadness and love and wanting to have peace in the world. But I think our two countries and our two societies, particularly in the modern era, share a lot. We both, I think, have a strong commitment to democracy. We have a strong commitment to freedom of choice and civil society. But one of the things, of course, that makes it interesting for us as human beings is to appreciate and respect our differences as well. And some of the fundamental differences between American and Japanese culture are the way that we are socialized or brought up in our respective societies through our educational system. For instance, in the United States, we are strongly socialized through our education and through our parents to do things as individuals. Whereas in Japan, there's a stronger emphasis, especially after you get into school, of doing things together and as a team, building a consensus. So that's one of the big differences. Of course, that doesn't mean that we are not individuals in Japan or that in the United States we never do any teamwork. Of course we do. Another big difference is in the influence of religion and how we as individuals view religion. I think in Japan, of course, Buddhism and Shinto, as well as other religions, Confucianism, has had quite an influence on the culture. But the way that you carry that out and the way that you express religion in Japan, I think is quite different from the US. The average Japanese probably would say that they are a-religious. That is, they don't have much personal commitment to religion. Some do, of course. There are some very strongly committed Buddhists or Christians or very active in the Shinto religion. But generally speaking, most Japanese will tell me that they are not particularly interested. And in the United States, the influence of Christianity, or what we often say is the Judeo-Christian heritage, is quite strong. Even for those who don't believe in a religion, the influence is quite strong. And I think this has resulted in a difference in the way that we view things. In the United States, I think many Americans want to know whether you believe or don't believe. Things that tend to be more black and white. Whereas in Japan, it's not such a topic, usually. Nobody really cares so much. Of course, you may as an individual, or when you're in college, you are finding out how you want to develop yourself and so on. But generally speaking, again, most Japanese are quite comfortable with taking little bits from here and there. One good example of this is in wedding ceremonies. Many Americans are quite surprised to learn that many Japanese have both a Christian ceremony and a Shinto ceremony, the same couple. This often is very surprising to Americans, but that's a good example, I think, of the difference in the way that religion plays out in our lives.
Is there anything that United States should improve its educational systems?
Almost every American would agree that one of the big issues right now is the inequity in the way that we deliver education and the results of our education. But we seem to have a difficult time agreeing on how to solve that problem. As you know, in the United States, education is very decentralized. Extreme opposite of Japan, where it's highly centralized. So when we want to do something in the United States to, say, work on illiteracy or those who are not really doing well in school in math and science and reading and writing and so on, it's very difficult at the national level to have a nationwide plan, because each state and each local district want to have the authority to do those things. So everybody agrees, yes, we need to improve education in many areas of the U.S. The question is how. So again, one of the differences between the U.S. and Japan is the way that they carry out their educational systems. Each have their strengths and weaknesses. One of the weaknesses in the United States is that we have a hard time building national consensus and policy for education.
Finally, recently there are many international students to study English in the United States, like me. So could you give us some advice?
Well, number one, I think, is to be clear about why you want to study English. I think that you will find learning English and acquiring English is more successful if you have a clear idea of why you want to study English. Language, after all, is a tool. It's a function. You use language to do something in most cases. So why is it that you want to learn English? Is it to be a good businesswoman? Is it to just have a good time? Is it so you can enjoy reading? Why do you want to learn English? I think that's a very important thing. Another one for Japanese students is that there is a tendency among all of us, actually, but it seems to stand out more among Japanese students, is where you have 3 or 4 Japanese students, they always get together. And that's a natural thing. But it's also very important to interact with the people who are living there, in this case Americans. That not only helps you in learning the language, but it helps you learn about America and American culture. If you have friends and acquaintances who are living here, who are Americans, that will help you learn the culture, and it helps you learn the language as well.
Thank you so much. Congratulations, Mr. Shepard.
You're very welcome. It's my pleasure.